Hey guys, how are we doing today? And yes, Shoto is in the building, but this isn't necessarily a match to show you gameplay. The gameplay is just here in the background, you know? The gameplay is just here in the background. These matches were, they were alright, but, you know, it's not really the focus of this video. The focus of this video, I want to talk about the latest episode in My Hero Academia, because it was a really good episode. I felt between DABI and Shoto. So again, just before we get into it, just straight off the bat, there are going to be spoilers for the latest episode in My Hero Academia, so here's your chance to back out if you want to. But yeah, it's going to be the episode that's just gone, where Shoto finally faced off, again, spoilers, with his brother DABI, aka Toya, for what looked to be the final time there. So really interesting episode. So I just wanted to talk about it, and here's some Shoto gameplay to just sit in the background as we do talk about it. So what did you guys think? I'd love to know in the comments. How did you find the latest My Hero episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was great? Do you think it was just okay? You tell me, but I'm gonna give you my thoughts on it. I thought it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed seeing DABI's backstory. I think it added another layer to the character of DABI. I think it was super interesting as well that we find out All For One somewhat considered DABI as, a successor to himself, a potential villain that could, fit in with his plans the same way Shigaraki has currently fit into his plans now. I find that incredibly, intriguing, and I think it serves as a really good way to show, the audience, show us just how good DABI is. Shows that he is, not just some side villain where, you could replace that dude with anybody and the League of Villains would be, more or less the same. No, it shows that this guy really is, as dangerous as a lot of people believe him to be. And, in another life, he could have been even more dangerous and been, the main guy, one of the main villains, and not just, a villain that's, supporting the current biggest one right now. So I found that really good I'm sure DABI fans enjoyed that, to see that All For One considered him so highly that he had him as a potential. I see where I ran past that deku there. He considered him as a potential successor. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way because DABI was a bit too inconsistent, a bit too crazy, a bit too just not the right fit. But again, just to show that he was on All For One's radar, I think was a really cool addition to the story. And yeah, just another feather in the cap of Toya. What else happened in that episode? Yeah, DABI's face was getting all, mashed up. It was getting completely singed. Every time you saw DABI's face, I'm like, man, his facial features are looking more and more effed up. Like, there's no going back after this one, There's no going back after this one, Like, for you DABI fans out there, I hope you don't mind the extra burns, because this dude went full scale, scorched earth on himself. Yeah, scorched earth. He went scorched body, and yeah, so he really pushed the boundaries there. So that was interesting to see, how far he was pushing his body. And, you have to wonder if DABI does come back in the future in the show, is his face gonna represent how we always normally see it? Or is it gonna represent, this new face where it was completely just shredded by his own flames and how much he was pushing it? But then, somebody made a good point to me. They said, what if DABI becomes good and Eri, fixes his face? What if Eri fixes his face if he turns out to be a good guy in the end? You never know. You could get a completely fresh-faced Toya in the future. If he turns good, you never know. You never know. And how weird would it be, if you were Toya and you woke up and it was like 3 years have gone by. I think it was 3 years, they said. 3 years had gone by, and you looked different, you sounded different. Man, that must be so That must have been so. That must have been like so jarring mentally to him. I think on one hand, like some people thought that maybe Darby's you know, reasoning for having, you know, what was essentially a mental breakdown into villainy. Some people thought it wasn't enough. Like, you know, like it wasn't crazy enough, but I personally disagree. Not really in the sense that, you know, wasn't it crazy enough to make somebody turn the way he turned? But, you know, everybody has different mental thresholds. And, you know, for Darby, you know, what he went through was probably, you know, well, not even probably, it was enough for him because not everyone has the same, like, level of mental capacity. And we've clearly seen that Darby has, you know, very questionable sanity. So, like, I think if you think what happened to him wasn't enough to make him the crazy villain that he turned out to be, I think, you know, that's you know, it's not necessarily, you're not necessarily like wrong, I guess, but in my opinion it was, because you have to take into account as well with Darby, his mental you know, tribulations, like they didn't just start when he woke up and realized that he was 3 years older, covered in scars. His family moved on without him and seemed to be, you know, doing okay, you know, with no sort of reference to the son that they lost and all of that stuff. I know you can say, you know, Endeavor wasn't being a good father, but for Darby, who just showed up and went over there, from his perspective, he's like, well, these guys are doing whatever they're doing as if I haven't been gone all this time. But just to get back on point as well, you know, his whole mental degradation started when he was even younger, you know, because again, he was trying to fight for you know, his father's you know, affection and love and all of that stuff for years and years, getting knocked back over and over and over. And then he had that traumatic experience in the forest, and then he realized he missed 3 years of his life, and then he realized his family had moved on without him and had seemingly forgotten about him, you know. And then you realize his face is all messed up, his body's all messed up. Like this, I do disagree. I think you could definitely say that what he went through from childhood to the traumatic forest event to waking up after a coma and realizing everything that had changed, I think that would be enough for someone of Darby's mental disposition to have a psychotic break. So I think that was well warranted, and I think it was like, I think it was, you know, explained well enough, in my opinion. But if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You know, it's your perspective at the end of the day, right? And yeah, and then we go on to Shoto. Shoto's new move, like that was so epic, you know, the freeze punch, the way he was shifting between fire and ice, you know, alternating, you know, the temperatures in his body so that he could both deal with the fire side but also the ice side, and he wasn't overheating anymore, and he just, you know, reached like this state of symbiosis almost between the fire and the ice. And obviously, you know, the fact that he can have, you know, the flame and the eyes come out of his chest at the same time, and man, you know, that was really, really cool there. And this Darby absolutely led into a trap there. He had no idea what was happening. Poor 6 KO Darby. And then yeah, then, you know, like I said, he did that finishing move on Darby, which looked super, super tight. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I do prefer Deku to Todoroki. I do prefer Bakugo to Todoroki, but it's not to say that I want to see them always having the limelight, because I feel as if, I'm sure you guys will have agreed as well, you know, lately, you know, for the past few seasons, it kind of really has all been about Bakugo and Deku. And again, that's not to say that's necessarily a bad thing, because those two characters are great, and both of those characters are in my top 5 favorite characters, so I'm not complaining. But, you know, you do feel like Shoto was kind of like, you know, the third wheel. He kind of got left out a bit because he was, at one point in the show, you know, neck and neck with those guys. In terms of strength, in terms of, you know, his importance to the hero course. Like, he really was that guy. But then he kind of fell off a bit. Both in terms of screen time and importance and even power. But with this episode, it kind of felt like, you know, they dragged him back a bit. Like, hey, we didn't forget about this guy. This guy's still here. This guy's still one of the very best, you know, in the class, still one of the very best in the school. And, you know, you had him, let's be honest, Darby is probably one of the strongest villains in the show, like hands down, you know, blow for blow, damage for damage. danger for danger. He is right up there. So it did a lot for Shoto to be able to win that 1v1. Well, you know, more or less 1v1. So yeah, I do think that Shoto deserved that little bit of this Shigaraki, dude. Sorry, buddy. You're stuck there. Brutal stuff. Yeah, I do think that Shoto deserved to have, you know, that moment in the sun. And, you know, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought the effects for that episode were a lot of fun. I liked the way that, you know, it was Endeavor's guys, you know, teaming up with Shoto to help deal with all the flames. Like, those guys, you know, they were understated, they were in the background, but it was a nice touch to have Endeavor's agency help Shoto. It was kind of like, you know, the people that helped Endeavor's father all this time are now helping his son. I think that probably went by a lot of people. Like, they probably didn't, like, put too much, what's the word? You know, recognition on that. But I thought it was a nice touch. Like, you didn't just have, like, some random heroes there. Didn't have somebody else's agency there. It's like, no. You know, we helped your father, and now we're gonna help you. You know? And I thought that was a really cool feature of that episode. And obviously it made sense as well because those guys deal with fire a lot, you know. Look who their agency leader is, Endeavor. You're not gonna get a more fiery guy. The episode is a little bit blurry to me at times, because obviously I watched it, you know, a few days ago. Ida, what did Ida do? I'm not saying that in like a way to discredit the guy, but I just kind of feel like I remember Ida just hanging around, just being like surprised at the fight and being shocked and being like, oh my god, it's getting hotter. You know, like, in my memory, Ida didn't do anything but stand there and watch. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It just, in my memory, he just kind of stood there and was like, man, hope you win, Shoto. Do you know what I'm saying? Hey, good luck out there, dude. Here if you need me. You know? But, again, maybe he did do stuff and I just can't remember. Feel free to correct me on that. Feel free to correct me on that. What else happened for Shoto in that episode? He was just really cool in that episode, man. You know, overcoming all of that family trauma, finally beating his older brother, and you know, he didn't even like kill him or anything like that. You know, he managed to beat him, to calm down his brother's rage, calm down his brother's, you know, psychoticness, calm down, you know, his brother's pain with the ice that he had, you know, managed to like lower his temperature figuratively and literally. So he beat his brother without having to kill him, which, you know, good for that guy. Because, you know, I think a lot of you guys, myself included, a lot of us do like DABI. We wouldn't want to see him out of the show indefinitely. Which I think when I was seeing this guy's face become like all screwed up and losing more and more flesh off of his face, I was thinking, this guy's going for broke here. They're gonna kill him. That's what I thought. You know, I thought this is gonna be, you know, I'm going out in a blaze of fire until there's nothing left. But you know, Shoto did a great job. You know, kept his brother in the game. But yeah, you know, really cool finish. I love the ice punch. Put that in the new skill set if you can. Put that ice punch in the new skill set. That would be so good. Put the fire and ice combination in the new skill set. I would love that. What would you guys like to see from what you've seen from Shoto in the recent episodes and stuff? Is there anything you would like to see in his new skill set? Obviously, I know we don't have any details on it, but, you know, if you had to choose, or you had to give ideas, what would you like to see in Shoto's new skill set? I would love to see that, you know, the ice punch he did. I would love to see the fire and ice, you know, symbiosis thing he did. I know it will probably be kind of hard to do, but I always love it in the show when Shoto puts up a freaking massive ice wall. You know, those ones that just go into the sky. You know, like his beta here is sort of reminiscent of that, but it doesn't do like the full whack. I would like it if they really did get one of those just, you know, big FU glaciers just fly up. That would be so cool. You know, like Cementos-esque kind of thing. Yeah, kind of like a Cementos thing, but with ice. I mean, do we really need another Cementos-like character? Absolutely not, and I would probably put a bullet between my eyes if there was two people in the map doing that at the same time. But why not? Stick it in there. We'll deal with it. This game is already My Hero Ultra Cheeseball, so we may as well add some more cheese to it. Why not? Anyways, yeah, let me know, what did you guys think of the latest episode with Shoto? You know, I do like Shoto a lot, so I really enjoyed him, you know, getting back into the picture and having his moment. But again, let me know, what did you guys think?